Hi, and thank you for watching. Today I'm going to be doing a presentation titled Charlotte Forten Teaches Free Children in South Carolina, 1864. This is for my U.S. Crisis and Expansion course at UCI with Professor Haley Marcello. Some key concepts from our course that you can consider regarding this presentation are Enlightenment, Republican Motherhood, American Anti-Slavery Society, Dorothea Dix, Frederick Douglass, Seneca Falls Convention, Declaration of Sentiments, Emancipation Proclamation, Civil War, Reconstruction, 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and Freedmen's Bureau. Here's a picture of Charlotte Forten on the left, as you can see. And here's a short bio that I have. Charlotte Forten was born into a well-off, wealthy Black family in Philadelphia. Charlotte received education in Salem, Massachusetts, and became the first Black American woman hired to teach white students. Charlotte provided her educational expertise to the war effort by moving to South Carolina in 1862. Charlotte's goal was to educate the newly freed people. So here's a primary source that I decided to use and a quote that I've highlighted that I would like to focus on. The primary source is called Charlotte Forten Teaches Free Children in South Carolina, 1864. The quote starts by saying, "The first day at school was rather trying. Most of my children were very small and consequently restless. Some were too young to learn the alphabet. These little ones were brought to school because the older children, in whose care their parents leave them while at work, could not come without them. We were therefore willing to have them come, although they had seemed to have discovered the secret of perpetual motion, and tried one's patience sadly. But after some days of positive, though not severe treatment, order was brought out of chaos, and I found but little difficulty in managing and quieting the tiniest and most restless spirits." So here Charlotte demonstrates how there was children, young adolescents who wanted to come to school or went to school, but also had to bring their younger relatives with them because their caretakers, older caretakers, were working and they were actually responsible as caretakers for younger children at the time, which led to some, a little bit of what seems like chaotic behavior as she describes. Young children can be pretty excited, very a lot of energy, especially with everything that possibly was going on at the time as newly freed people after the Civil War as well. But it seems that Charlotte was able to use her experience to mitigate the chaos and eventually bring order to it as well. Here's a second quote that I've highlighted. I never before saw children so eager to learn. Although I had several years experience in New England schools, coming to school is a constant delight and recreation to them. They come here as other children go to play. The older ones during the summer, the older ones during the summer work in the fields from early morning until 11 or 12 o'clock, and then come into school after the hard toil after their hard toil in the hot sun, as bright and as ever, and as anxious to learn as ever. So here she highlights her experience as well. As I mentioned in the bio, she was the first Black American woman to be hired to teach white Americans as well. So that goes to show that she was valued very much during this time. So her experience should not be noted lightly. And it goes to show that these newly freed people were very excited to learn compared to the experiences that she had from previous classrooms. Coming to school was a delight and recreation to them, so they were happy to be in school. It was joyful for them. Um, they chose to come to school, while other students decided to go play as well. Uh, and yeah, and after going to work during the summer, the students would work in the mornings and then decide to come to school around noon after their jobs, after working, which showed how much dedication they also had as well and how much they wanted to learn. Here's another quote as well. "The majority learn with wonderful rapidity. Many of the grown people are desirous of learning to read. It is wonderful how a people who have been so long crushed to earth, so imbruted as these have been, and they are said to be among the most degraded peoples of the South, can have so great a desire for knowledge and such a capability for attaining it. One cannot believe that the haughty Anglo-Saxon race, after centuries of such an experience as these people have had, would be very much superior to them. So here Charlotte argues that despite the suffering and ill nature that the Anglo-Saxon race had upon Black Americans in the South and sometimes in the North, that the newly freed people are excited, they're resilient, they're happy to learn, they show strength, and surprising to her because of all the brutalities and all the difficult experience that they have gone through. It it is surprising to her, and it also shows that they care to learn because they're learning very quickly for the most part. She also highlights or argues that if white Americans went through the experiences that Black Americans went through, they probably would not have had the resilience that these newly freed people were demonstrating. And here's the next quote. And one's indignation increases against those who, North as well as South, taunt the colored race with impurity, while they themselves use every means in their power to crush and degrade them, denying them every right and privilege, closing against them every avenue of elevation and improvement. Were they under such circumstances, intellectual and refined, they would certainly be vastly superior to any other race that ever existed. So she goes on to add to her previous argument, basically expanding on it, saying that despite all the negativity and, you know, ways that they have made Black Americans feel inferior during this time period, um, that the Black Americans are still happy to learn. They're still happy to be in class. And if the tables were turned, which I think is the most important point she's trying to make here, that if the tables were turned and Black Americans had the support that white Americans had and the affordances, the privileges, that Black Americans would be vastly superior to any other race that existed. So I think this is her main point and argument as well. Yeah, well, thank you for watching. I appreciate it.